15,000 years of peace ended the moment they took human children HFY stories. For 15,000 years, humans lived quietly in their part of the galaxy. They were known for building cities, exploring planets, and making careful decisions. They rarely interfered in the affairs of other species. Other species often said humans were patient and wise. They were also strong, though few remembered it. Wars were a distant memory, stories told only in old archives and dusty history halls. Humans remembered, but the galaxy thought they had forgotten. On Eden Ridge, a small human colony, life was peaceful. Green hills rolled under a soft yellow sun. Children ran freely between the schools and playgrounds. Farmers tended their crops and scientists studied the stars. It was the kind of quiet place where nothing extraordinary seemed to happen. Yet, even in quiet places, the unexpected could appear. John Carter, a human logistics officer, walked along one of the hills. He was tall, with short brown hair and clear gray eyes. He liked walking in the mornings when the air was fresh and the lights soft. He checked his datapad for reports on supply shipments. Everything seemed normal, but John always had a feeling that calm could change quickly. He had lived through stories his parents told about humans fighting for survival long ago, and he knew that nothing peaceful lasted forever. Near the small town of River Bend, Maria Lewis taught children at the local school. She had been a teacher for over 10 years. Her hair was dark and tied in a loose ponytail, and she had warm brown eyes. The children liked her because she laughed easily, and she was patient when they struggled to read or write. On this morning, Maria watched the children play outside. They ran and shouted under the bright sky. She smiled, thinking about how lucky she was to live in such a calm world. She did not know that everything was about to change. Suddenly, the sky shifted. Small clouds scattered quickly as something large appeared above. It was not a natural formation. Sleek, silver ships descended slowly, blocking the sunlight in parts. The humans of Eden Ridge stared, frozen. No warning signals had been sent. No message had come. The ships hovered silently for a moment, then lights blinked, and a strange hum filled the air. The hum was not music, and it was not natural. It felt like the sky itself was pressing down on the small town. John saw the first Union security force land near the playground. They moved in perfect order, wearing metallic suits that reflected the sun. Their faces were hidden behind opaque helmets. They did not speak to anyone. John ran toward the playground, shouting at the children to get back. Maria tried to gather her students and lead them inside, but the aliens were faster. Before anyone could react, the security force surrounded 40 children. They moved quickly, lifting the children with machines that held them gently but firmly. The children screamed and their parents ran forward, but the humans could not stop them. The Union forces ignored all cries, all protests, and all threats. "Stop! Stop!" John shouted, stepping in front of the machines. One of the helmets turned toward him, and he felt a cold stare, even without seeing the eyes. The figure raised a hand, and a faint blue shield appeared, blocking John from moving closer. Maria was pressed against the wall of the school, tears running down her face. She could not help the children, she could only watch. The alien figures lifted the children toward the hovering ships. It was fast, smooth, and unstoppable. Before anyone could fight back, the ships lifted and disappeared into the sky. The hum faded and silence returned. The light felt softer now, but nothing was normal. John sank to his knees, holding his head. "Why?" he whispered. He did not know the answer, but something deep inside told him that humans would not forget this. Maria crouched nearby, her hands trembling. "What did they want with our children?" she asked. No one had an answer. The adults could only look at each other, fear and anger mixing in their eyes. The children who had not been taken clung to their parents, crying quietly. Eden Ridge had been shattered in moments. 15,000 years of peace had ended in minutes. In the days that followed, human leaders called emergency meetings. The Council of Planets, which oversaw human colonies, sent messages to the Galactic Union, demanding answers. The Union responded with silence. No apology, no explanation, no promise to return the children. John attended some of the meetings, sitting quietly as leaders spoke. He noticed how calm they tried to appear, but the anger was there, like a fire under their words. The humans did not attack. They did not scream. They waited and planned, knowing that patience could be a weapon too. In Eden Ridge, Maria tried to help the children who remained. She spoke to them gently, explaining that the children who were taken were safe and that humans would find them. She did not know exactly how, but she believed in the old strength of humanity. The children listened, holding her hand. For the first time since the abduction, some hope returned, even if it was fragile. John began to investigate. He reviewed security footage from the colony. The Union ships had left no trace beyond the hum and the missing children. John recorded everything carefully, sending reports to human authorities. He worked long nights, often sitting under the soft glow of the colony lights, thinking about how to respond. He knew humans had forgotten the horrors of war on the surface, but the memory of loss was still alive inside them. The abduction had awakened something that the Union did not understand. It was not fear. It was resolve. Across the human world, stories of the abduction spread quickly. Families wrote messages, shared images, and spoke with fear and anger. Some younger species laughed at human concern, believing humans were gentle, peaceful, and incapable of violence. They were wrong. Humans had learned patience over thousands of years, and patience could be deadly when combined with memory and love. The Union had made a mistake. They had taken what humans valued most, their children. That would never be forgiven. Nathan Reed, a human diplomat, addressed the Council of Planets. He spoke softly but firmly. "We have been quiet for 15,000 years," he said. "We have built, explored, and shared knowledge. Today our children were taken. We will respond, but not in haste. We will respond in a way that shows the universe that humanity remembers its strength." His words spread across human space. People listened. Hope and fear mixed, but there was also determination. Humanity had not been pushed before, not like this. John and Maria began to prepare in their own ways. John reviewed old defense systems that had not been used for decades. He checked spacecraft, weapons, and communication systems. Maria taught the children skills they might need, like observation, running, and calm thinking under pressure. It was not training for war, she told herself. It was training for survival, for being ready when the humans moved. She did not speak much, but inside she felt the fire of old memories. Humans had fought for survival before. They could do it again. Meanwhile, the Union believed their action had been secret and safe. They thought humans would protest and then return to quiet life. They did not understand that humans remembered the past, and humans never forgot their children. Across human space, networks of information quietly started to gather. Ships were checked, supplies were moved, and plans were drawn. No one spoke loudly, but everyone knew something was coming. Humans had patience, yes, but patience was not weakness. It was preparation. On Eden Ridge, the sun set in brilliant shades of red and gold. John walked among the hills again, thinking about the future. Maria sat by the school, watching children play. She whispered to them, "We will get them back. We will always protect our children." The air was quiet except for the distant hum of the wind. The colony looked peaceful again, but the humans knew that peace had changed forever. 15,000 years of calm had ended in an instant. The world had shifted and humans were awake. And so the first part of humanity's response began. It was not loud. It was not violent at first. It was patient, careful, and quiet. The galaxy did not know it yet, but a storm was forming. Not a storm of anger, not a storm of hatred, but a storm of determination. Humanity had remembered who they were. Humanity had remembered how to fight, not for land, not for power, but for their children. The Union had opened a door it could never close, and humans were stepping through. The galaxy would never forget the sound of human resolve after the abduction. Human leaders moved quietly but quickly. The Council of Planets held secret meetings in secure chambers far from prying eyes. They spoke of the Union's actions, of the stolen children, and of the need for a careful response. No one suggested open war yet. They had patience, and patience had always been a human strength. They remembered the past, the long history of survival, and they knew the right moment would come. Luke Morgan, a civilian analyst, had spent years studying interstellar communications. He was young, with sharp green eyes and short black hair, and he had a way of seeing patterns others missed. Luke discovered that the Union had not acted randomly. The children were chosen because of rare neural abilities that could enhance the Union's projects. The Union thought humans would never act because they were peaceful. Luke knew better. He contacted Emma Brooks, a former rescue pilot with decades of experience. Emma had fought in past conflicts and had trained young pilots. She had been retired, living quietly on a human colony near the outer rim, but Luke's message changed everything. Emma read the message twice. She could feel the anger building, but she did not act out of emotion. She acted because it was right. "We will bring them back," she said quietly to herself. She dusted off her old flight suit, checked her personal ship, and prepared for the journey. She did not yet know all the details of the Union stations or the children's location. That would come with planning. For now, she focused on readiness, on being capable, on being human. Across human space, whispers of action began to spread. Humans did not make noise. They did not boast. But they shared information quietly. Engineers checked old spacecraft that had not flown in decades. They repaired them, tested engines, and reinforced hulls. Communication experts set up hidden networks to share intelligence. Humans remembered old lessons. Information was power, preparation was strength, and patience was a weapon. On Eden Ridge, John Carter continued his work. He monitored supply lines, repaired broken systems, and quietly organized small teams to gather intelligence. He spoke with Maria Lewis about possible strategies. She did not know if humans could stop the Union's plans directly, but she believed in the quiet strength of her people. Together, they taught children to stay alert, to observe carefully, and to trust each other. The children asked many questions, and Maria answered them honestly, without panic. She told them humans would protect their future, no matter what. The Union, meanwhile, was confident. Their security forces patrolled quietly, believing humans would remain passive. The Union thought 15,000 years of peace had made humans soft. They did not understand that humans never truly forget. Across human space, systems were checked, old weapons stored for emergencies were inspected, and strategies were quietly discussed. Humans did not act immediately, but they were moving like shadows, unseen, patient, ready. Emma Brooks traveled to the nearest human command station. There, she met Luke Morgan, John Carter, and Nathan Reed, the diplomat who had addressed the council. The four of them sat in a secure room, large windows showing the stars beyond. None of them spoke loudly. Each person understood the weight of the task. Emma opened her datapad and displayed maps of Union stations near human colonies. "We need precise information before we act," she said. "We can't risk the children." Luke pointed to one of the stations on the map. "This is the first target. They hold a group of children. The station is lightly guarded, but their defenses are advanced. We need to move quickly, quietly, and with full control." John nodded. "We cannot be violent unless necessary. The children must be safe. We must remember who we are. Humans do not fight without reason, and we must not start a war, not yet." Nathan added, "And we must document everything. If we act, the galaxy must see the Union's crimes. It is not just our fight. It is a moral fight for every species that respects life and freedom. Emma stood and stretched. I will lead the first rescue. We fly at night under radar. We take the children and return. No one dies if we can help it. Preparations took weeks. Human engineers repaired ships that had been grounded for decades. Small craft were modified to carry children safely. Every system was tested, every weapon checked but hidden. Humans moved carefully, knowing that their strength lay in planning and precision, not haste. In Eden Ridge, Maria trained the children who had not been taken. They practiced running, hiding, and communicating quietly. She taught them to observe without fear, to remember details, and to trust their instincts. The children did not know everything, but they learned quickly. They sensed their parents' determination and the quiet power of humanity rising around them. Finally, the night came. Emma Brooks and her team boarded their ships. Luke monitored communications, ensuring no Union patrols would detect them. John coordinated supply lines and escape routes. Nathan prepared a message for the Galactic Council, proof of the Union's crimes, ready to be sent if the rescue succeeded. The first mission was simple in words but complex in action. The target station was orbiting a small, uninhabited planet. It was sleek and quiet, with lights that suggested activity but no visible defenses. Emma guided her ship in close, her hands steady on the controls. Luke's voice came over the calm and precise, giving directions and warnings. John watched sensors, making sure no surprises appeared. Nathan's message waited, ready to broadcast. The team entered the station quietly. Emma led a small boarding group, moving down corridors with practice steps. The Union personnel were trained, but they were unprepared for human precision. The humans did not attack. They disabled systems, created barriers, and moved silently. They communicated with hand signals and soft whispers. Every step was planned, every corner checked. In the holding area, the children were scared but unharmed. Their eyes widened when they saw humans, especially Emma, who knelt down to greet them. "We are here to bring you home," she said. Her voice was calm, firm, and full of warmth. The children, sensing safety, held out their hands and followed without fear. As the team led the children to the escape ships, Union personnel tried to respond. Alarms blared and the station's lights flashed. Emma's group moved swiftly. They avoided conflict, using intelligence and speed. The children stayed quiet, guided by the humans who protected them. The boarding team reached the ships, and Emma gave the order to leave. Engines hummed and the ships lifted into the dark sky, escaping the station. Once clear, John sent the proof to the Galactic Council. Images of the children, the station, and the Union personnel performing experiments were transmitted. The message spread quickly. Across the galaxy, species who had ignored human concerns now watched closely. The Union had acted, but the humans had responded. And the humans had done so without unnecessary violence, without panic, with control and precision. When the rescue ships returned to human space, the children were reunited with their families. Tears, laughter, and soft cries filled the spaceports. Maria Lewis watched and smiled. She could feel the quiet power of humanity, rising not from anger but from love and determination. John stood nearby, exhausted but proud. Emma smiled at the children, knowing that this first mission was only the beginning. The Union received news of the rescue. Panic spread among their officials. They had expected humans to remain passive, to protest, to accept their actions. Instead, humans had struck back. Quietly, carefully, successfully. The Union began to fear what they did not understand. Humans never forget and humans never give up. Back on Eden Ridge, night fell. Stars sparkled above and the air was calm. John walked among the hills, thinking about the next steps. Maria sat by the school, looking at children playing quietly. She whispered, "We are ready. We will protect our children." The words were soft, but inside she knew they were strong. Humanity was patient, careful, and determined. The galaxy had seen the first step, but more was coming. Humans had remembered who they were. They had remembered their past, their losses, and their strength. The galaxy had thought peace had made them weak. It had not. Humans were rising, slowly but surely, and the Union had awakened a force it could not control. The first rescue was done. It was clean, precise, and full of hope. The humans had acted without anger, but with the certainty that the Union could not ignore. Across human space, preparations continued. More missions would come. The children must be safe and justice must be done. Humanity's patience was a weapon, and its determination was unstoppable. 15,000 years of quiet had ended, but humanity's resolve had only begun after the first rescue. Humanity did not celebrate loudly. They did not hold parades or shout triumphs. They had achieved what they set out to do, but the work was far from over. The Union had more children, and the galaxy was watching. Human leaders met again in secure chambers, discussing the next steps carefully. Patience had always been their strength, and they would use it now. Emma Brooks, John Carter, Luke Morgan, and Nathan Reed gathered in the human command station. Emma reviewed the maps of the remaining Union facilities. Each station was heavily guarded and technologically advanced. "We cannot rush," she said. "We must plan each mission carefully. The children's safety comes first, and we must not give the Union an excuse to fight us openly." John nodded. "We have the ships, the pilots, and the plans. Our advantage is surprise and precision. We do not need large fleets yet. Small teams will succeed if we remain careful." Luke pointed to a cluster of stations near a neutral planet. "These stations are isolated and they hold most of the remaining children. The Union believes no one will come for them. They are wrong." Nathan added, "We will document everything again. Proof of their crimes will reach the Galactic Council and every major species. Humanity must show the universe that our fight is for justice, not power." Preparations began immediately. Engineers repaired more ships, making sure each one could carry children safely and remain undetected. Communications teams set up secure channels, ensuring that no Union sensor could intercept their plans. Pilots practiced stealth maneuvers in simulated environments. Every detail mattered. Humans had learned that precision and patience could be as deadly as weapons. Emma led a small team to the first station in the cluster. They approached quietly, using the darkness of space and the shadows of nearby asteroids for cover. Sensors indicated the station was lightly guarded, but defenses were advanced. Emma's hands moved steadily over the controls, guiding the ship through narrow spaces. Luke monitored the communications, warning of patrols and shifts in energy readings. John coordinated supply routes and escape paths. Nathan prepared a message to broadcast if necessary, showing the children were safe. Inside the station, Union personnel continued their routines, unaware of the humans approaching. The children were kept in secure rooms, fed and monitored, but treated as objects, not as living beings. They did not understand why humans had not come before. When the human boarding team arrived, the children were frightened at first. They saw strangers in uniforms, but the calm and gentle approach of Emma and her team reassured them. "We are here to take you home," Emma said softly. Her voice carried warmth and confidence. The children hesitated, but slowly they followed. The humans moved carefully, disabling alarms and avoiding unnecessary confrontation. Union personnel tried to respond, but the humans were faster, smarter, and more organized than the Union expected. The boarding team led the children to the ships. Each step was planned, every move precise. The children remained quiet, guided by the humans who protected them. The mission was not about revenge. It was about safety, justice, and showing the universe that humanity would act when their own were threatened. Once in the ships, Emma initiated a silent jump to human space. Sensors confirmed all children were safe. John and Luke coordinated the route back, avoiding patrols and potential conflicts. Nathan prepared the evidence files for broadcast. Images of the station, the children, and the Union personnel performing experiments were transmitted. The message spread quickly across human space and to neighboring species. The Union responded with shock and fear. They had believed humans would remain passive. They had expected complaints, perhaps some diplomatic pressure, but they had not anticipated precise, careful, and successful raids. Panic spread among Union officials. Whispers of fear traveled through their communications networks. They began to understand that humanity had remembered their past and would act to protect their own. Back on Eden Ridge, Maria Lewis waited with the children who had returned. She spoke gently, keeping them calm and reassured. She reminded them that humans were strong, careful, and determined. The children listened, sensing the quiet power around them. The colony began to understand that their world had changed. The humans were awake, and the universe would feel their resolve. As the news spread, other species watched in amazement. Many had underestimated humans, thinking 15,000 years of peace had weakened them. They were wrong. Humans had patience, intelligence, and a memory of survival that few could match. They had shown that they could act decisively without unnecessary violence. The galaxy began to take note. Humans were no longer quiet builders. They were protectors of their own, and their resolve could not be ignored. Emma and her team rested briefly before preparing for the next mission. Every member understood the stakes. Failure was not an option. The Union's mistakes had awakened humanity, and the humans would not stop until every child was safe. They did not act out of anger or hatred. They acted out of love, care, and responsibility. John continued to organize intelligence networks, tracking Union movements and communications. Luke analyzed patterns, predicting the Union's likely responses. Nathan prepared diplomatic channels, ready to show the galaxy proof of the Union's crimes. Every step was deliberate, every action part of a larger plan. Humans had learned that careful preparation and quiet determination could achieve more than rash attacks or loud threats. The Union tried to regroup, sending patrols and reinforcements, but the humans were always one step ahead. The boarding teams moved quickly, avoiding direct confrontation whenever possible. The children were always safe, guided by humans who moved with precision and patience. The galaxy began to realize that humans were different. They did not fight for power. They fought for what mattered most: their own, their future, and their children. Each successful mission strengthened human resolve. More ships were repaired, more pilots trained, and more strategies developed. Humanity's quiet strength became a storm of precision and control. The Union feared this growing power, but they could not understand it fully. They had underestimated humans for 15,000 years, and now they faced the consequences. In Eden Ridge, the nights were filled with quiet hope. Maria watched children play, knowing that humanity's patience and careful planning were protecting them. John walked among the hills, thinking about the next moves, analyzing every detail. Emma prepared for the next boarding mission, her hands steady on the controls, her mind focused on the children's safety. Luke and Nathan coordinated intelligence and communications, making sure no detail was overlooked. Humans had remembered who they were, and they would not stop until every child was returned safely. The first two missions had shown the universe that humanity acted with care, intelligence, and determination. The Union had miscalculated, believing humans would remain passive. They were wrong. Humans had awakened, quietly but decisively, and the galaxy began to see a new side of them. 15,000 years of peace had ended, but humanity's resolve was only beginning. The children returned to their families were safe, but the scars of fear and uncertainty remained. Humans understood this. They moved carefully, helping the children heal, teaching them trust, and preparing them for a future where they could be safe. The humans were patient, precise, and deliberate. They acted not out of anger but out of love. As the ships returned to their bases, the team prepared for the next set of rescues. Each mission was planned with care. The Union's mistakes had awakened a force they could not control. The humans moved silently, patiently, and decisively. The galaxy was beginning to understand that humans were different. They were not just builders and explorers. They were protectors, and they would not stop until their own were safe. Nathan sent another message to the Galactic Council, detailing the successes of the missions and showing proof of the Union's actions. The message was calm, clear, and undeniable. The galaxy began to talk. Species that had ignored humans before now watched carefully, learning that patience, intelligence, and determination could be stronger than fleets of ships or powerful weapons. Emma, John, Luke, and Nathan gathered once more. They looked at the stars, knowing that more missions were coming. The Union would respond, but humanity would always be ready. Their patience, intelligence, and quiet power had already shown the universe that they remembered their past and would act to protect their own. The children would be safe and justice would be served. And so humanity continued. They moved carefully, quietly, but with unstoppable determination. The galaxy had seen only the beginning. The Union had underestimated them. 15,000 years of peace had ended, but humans had remembered who they were. Their patience was a weapon, their determination a shield, and their love for their children a force that nothing could stop. After the first few successful rescues, humanity's plans became larger. They no longer moved in secrecy alone. Now, their actions were watched by the galaxy. Other species began to notice humans were not like the Union had believed. Humans acted with care, precision, and patience. They did not attack for revenge. They acted to save their children and stop injustice. The galaxy began to pay attention. Emma Brooks prepared her ships for the next set of missions. She and her team had grown confident but not careless. Every step was planned. They studied the Union stations carefully, learning patrol patterns, shield timings, and weaknesses. John Carter coordinated resources, making sure ships were fueled, supplies ready, and medical equipment available. Luke Morgan monitored communications, listening for Union responses and anticipating their moves. Nathan Reed prepared statements to send to the Galactic Council if needed, showing the children were safe and the Union had acted illegally. The Union was panicked. Their officials argued among themselves. Some wanted to fight humans openly, using force. Others feared humans had grown stronger than expected. The Union had assumed humans were passive. They had been wrong. Every rescue mission made the Union nervous. Every broadcast of proof made them afraid. They had miscalculated the strength of humanity. Emma led a new team to one of the larger Union stations. This station was heavily guarded, in orbit around a small industrial planet. Union sensors were active and patrols were frequent. The human team moved quietly, using small craft to approach under the shadow of the planet. Luke's voice guided them. "Wait for the patrols to pass. Move slowly, stay quiet. We will enter through the lower hangar. It is less defended." Inside the station, the children were kept in secure rooms. They had grown used to the Union personnel, but they were frightened and confused. When the humans arrived, the children did not understand at first. Then they saw Emma and her team, calm and smiling, and they knew it was safe. The humans guided them carefully, showing patience and care. Every child was checked, and every step was planned to avoid detection and harm. Union guards tried to intervene. Alarms sounded and lights flashed, but the humans moved quickly, efficiently, and with control. No one was hurt unnecessarily. The children stayed safe, guided by humans who had learned the value of preparation and precision. The boarding team reached the ships, and engines hummed as they lifted into space. Back in human space, the news of the rescue spread quickly. John coordinated reception of the children, Maria Lewis helped care for them, and Nathan sent evidence of the Union's actions to the Galactic Council. The message was clear. Humanity acted not for conquest, not for revenge, but for justice and protection. The galaxy began to understand that humans were different from other species. They fought only for what mattered most, and they were unstoppable when they did. Other species started choosing sides. Some believed the Union had been wrong and offered quiet support to humans. Others were hesitant, fearing conflict with the Union. Many observed silently, waiting to see how humans would act. Humans did not threaten others. They acted with restraint, intelligence, and control. The galaxy could see that humanity's strength was not in weapons alone, but in determination, planning, and care for their own. Emma prepared for the next mission. She reviewed maps, patrol patterns, and possible escape routes. Every detail mattered. John checked supply lines, Luke monitored communications, and Nathan prepared additional proof to send if needed. The humans were ready, patient, and determined. They understood the value of time and planning. Rushing would only risk the children. Every action was deliberate. Inside the Union Council, officials debated again. They had underestimated humans for 15,000 years. They had believed peace had weakened them, but humans had proven otherwise. The Union feared that humanity's patience was a weapon, that their careful, deliberate planning could undo the Union's power. They had taken human children expecting minimal response. They had misjudged the value humans placed on their own. The next rescue took place at night. Human ships moved quietly, using stealth technology and natural shadows to avoid detection. The boarding team entered the station through maintenance tunnels, avoiding alarms and security personnel. The children were found safe, and the humans guided them to the escape ships with care. No alarms were triggered, no unnecessary harm occurred, and the mission was completed successfully. Once the children were safe in human space, Maria Lewis helped them adjust. She spoke to them gently, teaching them to feel safe again. John worked on repair and coordination of ships for future missions. Luke monitored Union communications, noting panic and confusion spreading among their ranks. Nathan prepared messages for the Galactic Council, ensuring the universe would see the truth of the Union's actions. The Union began to fear that humans would not stop. Their officials sent messages demanding explanations, threatening humans with retaliation. But humanity responded with calm, careful words. They did not escalate. They acted only to protect their children and ensure justice. The galaxy saw this, and humans' reputation grew. They were not aggressive for conquest. They were precise, intelligent, and unstoppable when protecting their own. As more children were rescued, other species began to offer help quietly. Humans accepted intelligence support, supply information, and communications assistance without revealing full plans. Humans maintained control of the situation, showing restraint and leadership. The Union began to realize they had created a problem larger than themselves. Humans were not just reacting. They were organizing, planning, and demonstrating that patience, precision, and care were stronger than raw power. In human command centers, the leaders reviewed their next moves. They discussed strategies for the remaining Union stations, ensuring that every child would be safe. They checked ships, trained pilots, and coordinated teams. Every detail mattered. They were careful but decisive. Humans had learned that planning, patience, and intelligence could achieve more than impulsive attacks or brute force. On Eden Ridge, life returned slowly to normal. Children played, families hugged, and schools reopened. Maria taught children skills to stay safe and aware. She explained the importance of patience, observation, and careful action. The adults around her acted with quiet strength, preparing for future missions. They were calm but ready. Humans had remembered who they were, and they would not stop until all their children were safe. Emma and her team completed the fourth rescue mission with the same precision as the previous ones. They guided children safely back to human space, avoiding conflict whenever possible. The Union scrambled, trying to respond, but the humans always stayed ahead. Patience and intelligence allowed humans to achieve what others thought impossible. They acted not with anger but with determination and care. The Galactic Council received multiple messages from humans. Evidence of the Union's illegal actions was clear and undeniable. Humans demonstrated restraint, intelligence, and determination. The galaxy began to respect humanity's patience and careful planning. Other species who had doubted humans now watched closely. The humans were different. They did not fight for conquest. They fought for their own, and they fought with intelligence, care, and unstoppable resolve. As night fell on Eden Ridge, John walked among the hills, thinking about the next steps. Maria watched children playing, ensuring they felt safe. Emma reviewed maps and patrol routes, preparing for more missions. Luke analyzed Union communications for any sign of planning or retaliation. Nathan prepared diplomatic messages, ensuring the galaxy knew humanity's purpose. Humans had awakened, quietly but decisively, and the Union could not stop them. Humanity's approach became a storm of precision and patience. Every mission was carefully planned, every child returned safely, and every action documented. The Union had underestimated humans for 15,000 years. Now they saw the consequences. Humans acted not with anger, not with hatred, but with love, care, and determination. The galaxy began to see the true strength of humanity. As more children returned, humans showed the universe that their patience was a weapon, their determination a shield, and their love for their children a force that could not be stopped. The Union had believed humans were weak, but humans had awakened. They had remembered who they were, and the galaxy had begun to understand that humanity was unstoppable when protecting their own. The humans had learned from the past, acted in the present, and planned for the future. Every mission reinforced their strength, every careful decision strengthened their resolve, and every child returned proved the truth. Humans fought not for power, but for love, justice, and protection. The galaxy had seen the beginning of humanity's quiet storm, and there was no turning back. The final mission had come. Humanity had already rescued most of the children taken by the Union. The galaxy watched with wide eyes. Humans were patient, careful, and precise. They did not fight for revenge, but for justice, for safety, and for their own children. The Union knew the last stations were heavily guarded, but humans had grown stronger with each mission. Their determination could not be stopped. Emma Brooks prepared her team. Ships were inspected and repaired. Escape routes mapped in detail. Supplies were checked and medical teams stood ready. John Carter coordinated logistics, making sure everything was prepared. Luke Morgan monitored Union communications, noting shifts in patrols and command changes. Nathan Reed prepared diplomatic channels, ready to show proof of the Union's crimes if needed. Every detail was planned, every step calculated. Humanity had learned that patience and preparation were as important as courage. The Union had become desperate. Their officials debated openly, arguing about how to respond. Some wanted to attack humans directly to show power. Others feared that such action would provoke even greater response. The Union had underestimated humans for 15,000 years. They had assumed peace made humans soft, that humans would complain and then accept the loss. They were wrong. Humans remembered their past, and humans would not stop until every child was safe. Emma led her team in small ships toward the first of the final Union stations. The approach was quiet, using the shadows of asteroids and the dark of space. Sensors showed guards and patrols moving in predictable patterns. Luke's voice guided the team. Wait for the patrols to pass. Enter through the lower maintenance dock. No alarms, no conflicts unless necessary. Inside the station, the remaining children were kept in secure rooms. They had grown used to the Union personnel, but they were still afraid. When humans arrived, the children did not understand at first. Then they saw Emma and her team, calm and confident. Slowly, they followed. The humans guided them carefully, using soft words, gentle touches, and patient instructions. Every child was safe, and every move was planned to avoid conflict. Union guards tried to respond. Alarms sounded, lights flashed, and they attempted to stop the humans. But the boarding team moved with precision. They used intelligence, speed, and calm control. No unnecessary harm occurred. The children were guided safely to the ships. Every step had been planned, every action deliberate. The humans acted with determination but never recklessness. They were calm, precise, and unstoppable when protecting their own. Once the children were safely on the ships, Emma guided them back toward human space. Sensors confirmed all were safe. John coordinated the route, avoiding patrols and danger. Luke monitored Union communications, noting confusion and fear spreading among their ranks. Nathan prepared to send the final evidence to the Galactic Council. Images of the children, the station, and the Union personnel performing experiments were sent across the galaxy. The message was clear. Humans acted for protection, justice, and the safety of their own. The Union was terrified. Their calculations had failed. They had expected humans to complain and then move on. Instead, humans had acted quietly, carefully, and successfully. The galaxy began to take note. Humans had patience, intelligence, and courage. They acted for what mattered most, their children. The Union feared humans now, not for war, but for the unstoppable determination they had witnessed. Back on Eden Ridge, Maria Lewis helped the children adjust. She spoke softly, teaching them to feel safe again, to trust, and to understand that humans acted not out of anger but out of care. John coordinated repairs, prepared ships for future needs, and ensured communication lines remained secure. Emma reviewed maps for other possible threats. Luke analyzed Union communications to predict responses. Nathan prepared final messages for the Galactic Council. Humans had remembered who they were. They had awakened, and the Union could not stop them. The final children were returned to their families. Tears, laughter, and soft cries filled the reception areas. Maria watched, her eyes full of hope. John stood nearby, exhausted but proud. Emma smiled at the children, knowing this was the end of their long mission. Humanity had succeeded. They had acted with intelligence, patience, and care. The Union had underestimated them, and now the truth was clear. Humans would protect their own, and they would do it with precision and determination. The Galactic Council received the final reports and images. The evidence was undeniable. The Union had violated laws, abducted children, and performed experiments. Humans had acted carefully, rescued the children, and ensured justice. Other species began to understand humanity's strength. They did not act recklessly. They acted with care, intelligence, and love for what mattered most. The galaxy began to respect humans not for power, but for their determination and moral strength. Inside human command centers, leaders discussed the next steps. They did not seek revenge. They did not want conquest. They wanted peace, built on respect, understanding, and protection of the innocent. John, Emma, Luke, and Nathan prepared to meet with the Galactic Council to rewrite agreements, ensuring no species could harm children or vulnerable populations again. Humanity had acted decisively, and now they would secure lasting peace. The Union apologized. Officials admitted their mistakes. They dismantled illegal stations, released information, and agreed to new oversight. Humans had shown the galaxy that patience and preparation were stronger than fear and force. The Union had learned that taking children was a grave error. Humanity had risen quietly, decisively, and with moral authority. On Eden Ridge, life slowly returned to normal. Schools reopened, children played, and families celebrated quietly. Maria Lewis taught the children skills for the future, emphasizing observation, awareness, and trust. John walked among the hills, reflecting on the past weeks. Emma prepared to return to a quiet life, but remained ready. Luke continued to monitor communications, and Nathan worked on new galactic agreements. Humanity had remembered who they were, and they had proven their strength. Humans had acted not out of anger, not for revenge, but with intelligence, patience, and love. They had saved every child. They had shown the galaxy that they could act decisively, and that they would protect their own no matter what. 15,000 years of peace had ended, but humans had rewritten what peace could mean. It was no longer simple quiet. It was justice, protection, and respect, built carefully and enforced patiently. The galaxy learned a lesson. Peace without justice was fragile. Humanity showed that patience, intelligence, and moral determination could change the universe. Other species began to respect humans, not as builders or negotiators alone, but as protectors of what mattered most. Humans had awakened, and their resolve was unstoppable. On Eden Ridge, Maria watched children play under the soft sun. She whispered, "We have done what we had to do. Our children are safe." John stood nearby, looking at the horizon. He said, "We have remembered who we are. Humanity will always protect what matters." Emma smiled, quietly proud. Luke and Nathan worked in the background, ensuring the galaxy saw the truth. Humans had acted, and the universe had learned that patience, intelligence, and care were stronger than fear or force. Humanity had finished the mission. All children were safe. The Union had been humbled, and the galaxy had witnessed the quiet power of humans. Peace had been rewritten, not with violence or aggression, but with intelligence, patience, and moral courage. Humans had remembered their past, acted for justice, and ensured the safety of their future. The galaxy would never forget what humans had done. The humans of Eden Ridge and across human space looked to the stars with quiet confidence. They had acted decisively, patiently, and morally. They had proven that even after 15,000 years of peace, humanity could rise for what mattered most. Children were safe, justice had been served, and the galaxy had learned a new lesson about the strength of patience, intelligence, and love. And so, 15,000 years of peace had ended, but a new era began. Humanity had awakened, acted, and ensured that the future would be safe. They had protected their own, proven their strength, and shown the galaxy that patience, care, and determination were unstoppable forces. The Union could never forget the lesson, and the universe would never doubt humanity again. Humanity had risen, not with anger but with intelligence, not with revenge but with love, not with chaos but with careful planning. The children were safe, the Union humbled, and the galaxy had learned a lasting truth. Humans would always protect their own, and they would always rise when it mattered most.